Yo, what's up? This is Elder Sarah, and welcome back to my channel, where I like to talk about all things spooky, scary, and have a little bit of fun. Today on the channel, we're going to be talking about 3 movies that I actually didn't get the chance to see this weekend. Yes, at the time of release, it's been exactly 1 week since these 3 horror movies dropped, and I wasn't able to go see any of them because they've already been ushered out of my local AMC theater. I'm bummed that I wasn't able to get in to watch these movies and get to be able to break them down and make proper explanations to share with you guys. What we can do is look at some spoiler-free reviews that have been floating around on the internet and address them together. Try to get some kind of idea on why they pushed these out of theaters so fast in my area. Were these movies truly so bad that they couldn't bear to hang on to them longer than a week at a time? Or was my local movie theater just being a little bit too harsh about the whole thing? The Ritual, Dangerous Animals, and I Don't Understand You all seemed like they would be decent enough films. I can't actually believe that they've been blown out so easily. Today we're going to be talking about each of these movies, going over them one by one, and talking about some of the reviews that were left by average everyday moviegoers, spoiler-free reviews. As we discuss these films today and we go over these reviews, let's keep in mind that everything here is very subjective. Everybody's going to view these things differently, and you may like these movies a heck of a lot more than some of the people that we're going to be talking about today did. Head down into the comments down below and be sure to fight for your movie down there. I want to hear what you have to say about the whole thing. The Ritual is a possession-centric horror film where we were given the simple promise that Al Pacino would be playing an exorcist. Based on a true story, the film was set to follow a couple of priests as they attempt to put aside their differences and save an allegedly possessed young woman through a series of dangerous exorcisms. As stated, this film is based on a true story. In real life, there was a woman whose alleged demonic possession and subsequent exorcisms occurred over the span of several decades, eventually culminating in an extensive exorcism that lasted from August 18th all the way to December 23rd of 1928, the whole thing taking place in Erling, Iowa. This case is considered by theology and paranormal scholars to be one of the most abundantly documented cases of possession in the 20th century, including a profile in the 1936 issue of Time magazine. In theory, this should have given them all of the makings for a truly terrifying movie experience. So why was it such a flop that it's been booted from theaters by the following weekend? Man, just looking at the letterbox for this, we already see that this got a 2.1 as far as ratings goes. That is brutal. But let's see what some of these people had to say about it. This user writes, "I cannot believe studios are still funding films like this in 2025. There's not a single original thought on display here. It's just trope after trope after trope. Y'all can hate on live-action remakes and unnecessary sequels all you like, but it's stuff like this that deserves the vitriol because it has truly zero reason to exist. There's been about 250 versions of this exact same film produced in the 21st century already. The shaky cam was so bad that I couldn't even make out what the poor girl vomited up. For a film with non-stop exorcism scenes, you wouldn't believe how bored you'll be sitting through them. Half a star earned for the decent physical performance from Abigail Cohen and that violent hair pull that even Monique Samuels would be proud of." Another user writes, "She already belongs to us." In 1973, William Friedkin directed the demon possession horror masterpiece, The Exorcist. And ever since then, movie studios have been trying to repeat that formula every single year, and nobody has ever managed to reach that height again. Here in 2025, we have that yearly demon possession obligation with The Ritual, and we have just another disappointing exorcism flick. It's weirdly shot and edited with the handheld camera style feeling out of place for the period piece set in the 1920s, and gives it more of a modern aspect, making it feel even more out of place here. All of the usual cliches are there too, like the old experienced priest matched up with the young priest with a crisis of faith, it being based on a true story, and of course, all of those over-the-top jump scares that lack any kind of creativity or subtlety that helped make The Exorcist such a great film. Even with all that, the movie is just boring, almost like the movie knows it's just an obligation that needed to be put out, so it doesn't even try to be good. With nothing that stands out or makes it distinct whatsoever, Al Pacino is actually trying and gives a committed performance. But unfortunately, he and a good cast are wasted on a dull, lifeless, and scareless studio-obligated movie. This user throws in, "I showed up for Al Pacino and was not disappointed. Nearly everything else was a letdown though. Hollywood has been chasing the high of The Exorcist since its release, and for the most part have failed in their attempts. A lot of this felt lazy. The camera work was trying to be the Blair Witch Project, but it's like they gave the camera to a 13-year-old boy. And this is the story we've heard so many times before. But hey, we were the only 2 people in our theater, so a private screening made the experience better." This user writes, "Ah yes, the 1920s, famous for its mockumentary-style cinematography, buccal fat removal, and lip filler. But at least Al Pacino was there doing a funny voice." This user left a review writing, "The first minute of this film consists of the following things. Number 1, based on a true story. Number 2, 2, a BuzzFeed production. Bonus that it came in with collective laughs from the audience. Number 3, a woman runs up a wall. This never happens again or is mentioned. It's shot like someone was given a broadcast zoom lens for the first time, but put the setting up too high and can't control it. Al Pacino acts like he just wandered onto set and started rambling in a mix of incoherent accents. There are so many problems with this shambles of an excuse of a film. It's not worth a single second of your time, and it's offensive that it even gets the time to be shown in a cinema. There seems to be a lot of comments trying to shut down the cinematography going on here, saying that it looks like an episode of The Office and generally just feels like a sitcom. What is going on here? Isn't this supposed to be a period piece? Man, it is truly a bummer that this one ended up being so lame. I think I'm still gonna have to check it out, but that is unfortunate. I feel like it's worth the novelty alone, just knowing that Al Pacino is playing an exorcist in this movie. Like, that's definitely worth at least one watch, but it's unfortunate that this thing fell completely flat. Well, at least to the people that are reviewing this on this letterbox. The true story that this whole thing is based off of is absolutely insane, and there's so much for them to pull from and draw in that. It takes a special lack of creativity to be able to drop the ball with something of that caliber. Also, like, what's up with all these people talking about the cinematography? It's apparently like a mockumentary that takes place in the 1920s. It's supposed to look like it's filmed with like an HD camcorder. What is that? That just doesn't make any sense. You know what? I'm still gonna give it a watch. I don't care. It sounds like the ritual here is absolutely not gonna hold a candle to bring her back. That was a really good possession film we saw just a few weeks ago. Unfortunate timing with this one coming out. I don't know though. This one's being compared directly to The Exorcist a lot, and a lot of these people aren't even really bringing up Bring Her Back at all. Do you think that this is like two completely different subgenres of possession films? Is that possible? Let me know in the comments down below what you think about that. Here's a really good one. This user says, Exorcist films are a lot like shark films. There's only one good one, and it was in the 70s. I like this comment a lot because it's going to perfectly transition us into the next film that we're talking about here. Dangerous Animals was billed as a shark-centric survival horror film directed by Sean Byrne, previously known for his project The Devil's Candy. In the film, a shark-obsessed killer holds Zephyr, a rebellious young surfer girl, captive on his boat. In a race against time, she must figure out a way to escape before he carries out his ultra-creepy ritualistic feeding to the sharks below. With a contained story and a cast of horror first-timers, this looked to be a pretty straightforward time for those who are interested in survival, drama, or more grounded and realistic horror movies. Looking very similar to stuff that we usually see coming out of Blumhouse, I expected this to be a film that many would latch onto. Though appearing pretty shallow for such deep waters, it seems that there was still enough going on here for genre fans to smell blood in the water. So why did this Sharkfest flop? So Dangerous Animals is sitting at a 3.1 on Letterboxd. It's looking like it's doing at least better than The Ritual did. With that said though, why can't I go see this so that I can review it for you guys? Let's find out what people really thought about this thing. The title of this review says, Mildly Agitated Monsters. Definitely throwing shade at the Dangerous Animals title here. Look, if I'm gonna swim all the way over to your boat to eat someone for you, you can at least pick someone with a little bit of meat on their bones. How many times do we have to go over this, Steve? Remember how all the way back like 4 months ago there was a movie called Hard Eyes and somehow executed being a slasher comedy romance and did it well? Dangerous Animals feels like the dorky little munchkin who tried to sit at the same cool kids table but fell, dropped his tray, and landed face first in some cold mashed potatoes. It has its moments when it's focusing in on the action and the couple bloody scenes that it has. Yes, couple, but it also makes you want to feel some stuff and be a romance film, almost as much as it wants there to be blood and sharks. The only issue is, none of the characters in this movie have any depth or background to speak of, which means there's absolutely no reason to care about any of them at all. Yep, they're all just there, so when you try to make me feel something for the two terrible actors making out for no reason to the tune of Celine Dion, whatever, yeah, you just don't do that, please? There's no reason these people should even like each other, or for the guy to meet this chick for 5 minutes and magically know how to try to come and save her. I'd question if he hacked into her iPhone and even put a tracker on it, but I think this guy would have to go to college for about 90 more years to get to the brain capacity to pull that off. Anyway, at least one person dies, so there's that. This review right here simply just says, this is the implication Dennis Reynolds was talking about. And there's a whole separate comment here that seems to elaborate on that. I gotta say that I usually usually hate Jai Courtney, but this is easily his best performance of his career. Dude was grimy, and that scene of him dancing around in his underwear was gold. This user gives it 3.5 stars and writes, I agree with the majority of reviews I've been seeing. It's objectively not fantastic, but it is absolutely in on its own joke, and with a combination of an awesome final girl and an unhinged Jai Courtney eating up each other every scene, it's a lot of fun. This user throws out, Dangerous Animals is a horror thriller film without enough story, so it dog paddles around trying to find something new to do. Cut 30 minutes and this might have been a taut little thriller. It's about a surfer girl kidnapped by a wackadoodle shark preservationist. He really wants to keep the sharks well fed so he can continue his shark experience charter business as you do. So it's not really a shark movie in the traditional sense. It's a kidnap thriller. And as such, can the girl escape her captor? Which begs the question, what would you do in a similar situation? And sadly, you could probably handle things better, which is a problem that kept popping up. Another problem, there's serious repetition. They seem to go through the same problems over and over again, each time winding up right back where they started from. It's a symptom of too much time and not enough plot. I'm not a big fan of entire escape or action sequences that circle right back to the start with no plot progression. That said, the final act gets a little better as the characters finally progress to an endpoint. Still some dumb and unlikely stuff happens, but at the least there were more sharks in a finale. Plus Jai Courtney as the villain has some campy moments playing this A1 nut bar. He's having more fun than I was watching him dance around in his skeevies and yap about shark preservation. The flick isn't a total disaster in that even when bored and annoyed, I kind of wanted to see where it was going next. In that I cared at all was a miracle, but it doesn't save the day. So the mixed reviews around this film definitely make it sound like Dangerous Animals could hit for you if you're in the right audience for it. It definitely seems like audiences are more evenly split on this one than they are with The Ritual. There seems to be a lot of people that really enjoyed this for what it is, and there's a lot of people that it just did not hit for at all. I wouldn't really say that audiences are even tearing this one to shreds the way that they are with The Ritual. I would just say that this one hits for a more niche audience and that it's apparently more of a thriller than a killer, if you know what I mean. If you're going in looking for blood and guts and surviving against sharks, that's absolutely not what this is here. No, it seems that this is more of a romance thriller exploration going on. They're not trying to be 2025's Jaws or anything. It is possible that my AMC was just being a little bit harsh with booting this one out of theaters a little bit too quickly, but they are in these reviews talking about how there wasn't really anybody in the theaters watching it with them, so I don't know. Maybe that's the thread that we're onto here. Maybe the movies weren't that bad, maybe just people aren't going to see them right now. Maybe there's other things out that people are drawing their interest in. Before we jump to conclusions, let's look at the last horror film that came out on June 6th. Lastly, this past weekend, we received I Don't Understand You. This horror comedy stars Nick Kroll and Andrew Reynolds as they portray a wealthy gay couple from Los Angeles. The two are celebrating their 10-year anniversary with a scheduled trip to Italy when they get lost on their way to dinner reservations. Guided by a disgruntled farmer, they believe they've found their way, but in all reality, their long night of misfortune, bloodshed, and accidental murders is only getting started. This film actually premiered at South by Southwest back in March of last year to some pretty good ratings. Before its release, it racked up a whole 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and even received generally favorable reviews. This looked like a pretty funny and interesting film with some major names attached. I figured that at the least we were in for an entertaining and fun time, and at the most, this could be thrown up there with some of our favorite horror comedies. Let's check out some of the reviews and see what went wrong here. I Don't Understand You also came in with a 3.1, just like Dangerous Animals before it, so maybe we'll see a lot more mixed reviews going on here. Honestly, I'm starting to think that the AMCs by my house just really don't want to give a chance to these movies, which is crazy because we still have Sinners playing and they're about to re-release it into the theater again for like a whole nother run. Oh my god, can I please just watch some of these new movies? Okay, whatever, let's read some reviews. This review states, I'm not making any claims about which place might be better or worse. I'm simply observing and noticing things about two prominent locations featured within this film. Here are some things I noticed. Italian countryside. Cursed, filled with murderous misunderstandings. No bridges. Does not have American football teams. Does not have a single Eaton Park. You can't understand anyone because they don't speak English. Wiz Khalifa does not sing any songs about it. Now here we're gonna compare it to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I guess. Blessed. No murderous misunderstandings. Steel Forged. Nicknamed the City of Bridges because it has so many bridges. Pretty decent football team. has several locations of the delightful and treasured family establishment, Eaton Park. You can't understand anyone, even though they all speak English, but to be honest, I'm not sure if the Pittsburgh accent is English. Wiz Khalifa sings that song where he goes, "You know what it is, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow" about it. This user writes, "I think this movie is just alright. My biggest criticism is that there's no consequences for the actions that happen here. Want to get more in depth, but the ending of this really doesn't punish the main characters at all, and rather aims for something quite underwhelming. Also, the comedy is bad. I can't get more in depth without spoilers, but blah movie overall." Also on the topic of the ending, this user writes, "Too mean-spirited to laugh at. Ending totally unearned and undeserved. On the plus side, it reminded me that I need to watch the final season of Big Mouth." If there's one redeeming takeaway from this movie, it could be this review that says, "For once, the gays are not the ones getting killed." This review states, "Always a letdown for a comedy with a body count. It's off on an Italian getaway in the film I Don't Understand You, written and directed by David Joseph Craig and Brian Crano. I went back and forth between a 3.0 and a 3.5 as some of the film dragged when jokes didn't land, but overall, a few moments that made me gag with laughter and a good cast ultimately won me over. I've been a fan of Andrew Reynolds since Girls." I don't know what that is, but that sounds gay. "And he of course delivers with his infectious vibe. He has great chemistry with Nick Kroll, which made them easy to root for. The funniest moment for me though was a scene they weren't even in. I had the theater to myself, so I laughed as loud as I could. Also, I really dug how things ended for them. Quite unrealistic, but hey, most dark comedies don't strive for realism. Fun flick." It's really funny to me that the reviewer here uses the fact that the theater was empty as kind of a plus to the whole experience. That's pretty wild. I guess that's the theme here though. People just were not buying tickets to go see these movies. That's probably why they were booted out so early. I mean, that makes sense, simple consumerism, but were these movies truly that bad? Did they deserve to get kicked that quickly? If you got to see any of them, let me know in the comments down below what you thought about these films. Let me know if you think that some of these people were just being too harsh and if I should still check them out when they come out onto streaming services. But if you haven't seen any of them, but you watched this video today and you think that some of them look interesting, let me know in the comments down below about that as well. If there's one lesson that I have learned from this whole thing, it's that I'm definitely gonna have to be a little bit quicker on the draw when it comes to making it out to these movies. With that said, I've already got a bunch of tickets purchased for things coming out later this month and in July. 28 years later is just around the corner, and I cannot wait to make a bunch of content about that for you guys. But however you're feeling about the things we talked about here today, comment down below and let me know. As always, I've been Eldritch Terror, and if you enjoyed my video today, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like it. If you really enjoyed my video today, be sure to send it over to a friend you think might like it too. I'm still pretty new over here on YouTube, but I've got hours of awesome horror content over on the channel for you to check out. Be sure to take a browse through my catalog. You'll probably find some other videos you like. Whether your day's been going good or bad today, I hope it gets better.